Uh, Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being today with us in this webinar. We are Partner Resource Network, but first I wanted to tell you guys that you can, if you have questions, please feel free to type it in the chat box or in the Q&A, whatever you think is better. In the chat box, everybody can see the questions. In the Q&A, just Allison and I, we can see the questions. This is live. We are going to be recording this presentation and we are going to post it in our Facebook page. And I think Allison is going to also share it in a YouTube channel later on. So please, after we finish this presentation, you are going to be directed to a brief evaluation. Please help us with that. We need feedback from you guys, and thank you for being here today. First, I'm going to talk about Partner Resource Network, and then I'm going to pass the thing to Allison, and she's going to start doing the webinar. So my name is Veronica Alvarez, and I'm the Regional 13 Coordinator for Partner Research Network Team Project. And we are the Parent Training and Information Center here for Texas. And we are funded by the Department of Education, Office of Special Education, OSEP, and we provide free resources, training for parents of children with disability and self-advocates. Our mission is to empower parents of children and youth with disabilities in their roles as parent decision makers and advocates for their children. We serve parents of children with disability and self-advocates from the ages from 0 to 26. Partner Resource Network is an agency, a nonprofit agency, and it was first founded in 1986. And now we serve Texas in 4 different projects, and I'm part of the team project. I'm in Austin, and as you can see, the red area is the team project area. We cover Austin, San Antonio, and the valley, the Rio Grande Valley. Our services are free. And we offer parent workshops, youth workshops, webinars, information and referrals, one-on-one technical assistance, supporting the art meetings, and each regional coordinator do annual symposiums. We do parent leadership training, youth leadership trainings. Because of COVID and the pandemic, all our services are online at this time. So everything is through computer, FaceTime, Zoom, stuff like that. And this is our main, our office information for team project. You can see there. And also please visit our main website is prntexas.org. And in there you can find a lot of resources and a lot of information about webinars and everything related to special education and special needs kids. So thank you for being today with us. And now I'm going to present our speaker for today. She's Allison Schaberg. She's a passionate advocate and leader for the special needs community. She's a parent of children with special needs and understands our work perfectly. She's a licensed financial planner with over 25 years experience. She's owner of the Consolidated Planning Group. And Allison, she's going to be talking today about what is the letter of intent. So please, you can share your screen and talk more about the things that you do. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks, Veronica. As always, it's nice to be back with you guys. You guys do such a great job of sharing important information, and we are especially happy to partner with you guys again. So thanks for sure for having us. So for the people that are joining us today, I see some familiar familiar names, and there's probably some people that are new to us and new to these presentations. As Consolidated Planning Group, we really try to put out educational events, several a month, anywhere from 4 to 6 a month, on topics as it relates to special needs. And as Veronica mentioned, I'm a parent first, so I've kind of been there, done that. I do this professionally, and what I would say to you is that it's not easy. Okay, so from the parent hat, and even with my knowledge and my background of kind of where we are and where we're going, it's still very, very difficult along the way. Bear with me just 1 second. I'm having a battery issue, so I'll be right back with you. I apologize.
No problem. So let me remind you guys that you can ask questions in our chat and in our Q&A. Let me open the chat a little bit. Where is it? Here. Okay. Just a little in a minute.
Okay, I'm back. Disaster averted. So anyway, so sorry about that. So so I guess my point is in navigating all of these things, there's so many things out there, but what I have found is a lot of things are just really disjointed in how we get resources, where we get our resources from, and how sometimes even being directed to a website for resources of how convoluted it is to dig out the resources from the website. Anyway, as a parent, and navigating this for an adult child that kind of crossed over into adulthood a couple of years ago, what I would say is it's difficult. It's hard. So as she said, I am pretty passionate about this. I think all of these topics are important. And the more that you can attend events like this or other ones, the better, because it's a lot to take in. Any one of these presentations sometimes is a lot to take in. So what I hope of when we get together is that, even if you just take 1 to 3 things away, from any given presentation that you could implement, kind of start on, get going on, in the next 24 to 48 hours, that's a good thing. So you don't have to do everything all at once. So today, what we're talking about today is a letter of intent and why you might need one. For some, the letter of intent may be kind of a foreign topic. Maybe you've never heard this term before. For others, I like to also call it kind of a family love letter. That's kind of another term, a family love letter. Imagine writing a love letter to your family and telling them all things that you really, really want them to know or what they need to know. So when it comes to a letter of intent, and as it relates to planning for special needs, this is just really a document that ensures that your trustee or future guardian just really knows everything that there is to know about your child. If you've joined us before, you've heard me say before, as parents, we know, we eat, sleep, and breathe this every single day as it relates to our special needs child, and we know all of the gory details, all of the triumphs, all of everything. We know right off the back of our hand, many of us could just recite the phone number of the specialist, whoever the specialist might be, the neurologist, whoever, the cardiologist, whatever. But these are things that we just take for granted. We just do this and we just live this life every day. And sometimes life is difficult. We don't think about the fact that even though we might be really close with the successor guardian, they might be a sibling, a family member, a very best friend that would be a successor guardian. And we're close with these people and they have a real good glimpse into our life, but they've never walked a day in our shoes, and of just doing the whole routine from start to finish. And so this is this document that if I'm a stranger to you, that I could pick this document up and I know about your son, little Bobby. And I know all things. I know when he was diagnosed. I know what he was diagnosed with. I know what medications he's taking. I know what surgeries he's had, the facilities he's been in and out of, the specialists that he has. but all things. So we get, we can really get in the weeds, and I think it's important to get in the weeds when we have these kids that have complex care needs. It's important that we get in the weeds on the details as far as the medical history, what they're allergic to, those types of things. But this is where we go much deeper than that. Where were they born? What county were they born in? All of the parental information, the houses that they've lived in, the schools that they've attended. Um, and, it just can really even get down to just, other things, such as likes and dislikes. Like, if you have a child, on autism spectrum or other similar, category where we have kids that have major meltdowns. Um, Details of what causes the child to melt down and what causes the child to tick, and for everything to go smoothly. If there's that favorite blankie, or a favorite routine that is happening, and those routines are so critically important. These are the things, guys, that we don't write down. We just do them. And if you have this written down, you are ahead of many, many, many people. So why do you even need a letter of intent when you already have a last will and testament, a revocable trust, a special needs trust, a guardianship? Is this a legal document? So the answer is no. This isn't a legal document. Why I also liken the name of it of a letter of intent or a family love letter. It's not a legal document. It's a document of compassion. It's a document of help and hope for a future caregiver. So that way, the thing is as parents, it's true. Other people can't fill our shoes. They're never going to be able to fill your role as you have carried out your duties all of these years. But they want to come to it as close to as possible, and to make the continuity of care for your child as seamless as possible, given whatever situation has arisen for this to be kind of coming into play, right? So again, a letter of intent is not a legal document. The last will and testament, you're stating what your wishes are. A revocable trust, you're having assets that that will not go through probate by having your assets tied to your revocable trust. And then of course you have a special needs trust. And these are things that maybe you may or may not have in place yet. But if you have a special needs child, there are things that we'll talk about more in a little bit. And then, of course, guardianship, power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney. Some people have supported decision-making agreements in place. And these are the legal documents. These are true legal documents that specify things. So again, when it comes to the letter of intent, this is truly communicating your knowledge, your heart, your hopes and desires for your child's future well-being. And again, you can go as deep and wide as you want to. So we have some templates, and I'm going to share a template with you guys in just a little while during this presentation to kind of give you an example. But when it comes to creating your letter of intent, this is something that you can create yourself if you want to. And I always recommend creating this in a Word document, because some of our kids have ever-changing needs. Okay, they have, especially if you're dealing with a child that really has complexity when it comes to their medical care, and things are ever changing. So if you have this in a Word document or something that you can edit easily, I recommend coming back to this a couple of times a year. And if your child's conditions or care needs change, if you you can set a reminder in your phone to revisit your letter of intent. You could do it quarterly or do it twice a year. But if your child's needs are changing quickly, then I would probably revisit it sooner versus later. So here's some more things that are listed in the letter of intent, so you can kind of see these on the screen. It is a broad range, and the thing is your letter of intent might look very different than your neighbor's letter of intent for their child. What is, family values, right? Family and spiritual values come into play. You know, there are some people with spiritual values and they don't take blood products as a result of, you know, some of their, you know, what they believe. So all of these things, you know, kind of the ifs and buts and all of the particulars are super, super important, but all of the important people. So we've got the legal guardians, you know, family members, family information, important grandparents, those types of things. Just going deep and wide. Like I said, if we got a primary care physician, I know some of your kiddos might have 10 or 15 different specialists. Like I always joked and said, we never see the PCP because we only see specialists and only the chief, right? Like, as you know, so you might have this whole Rolodex of specialists that you see. So, but all of them should be in there, you know, especially as we're trying to coordinate and collaborate the care for your child. So you can do this on a Word document. It's easily edited. So the other problem is if you're handwriting, which you can certainly handwrite this, then you end up with all these crossouts and do-overs and, you know, and that kind of thing. So I think something else that is important to note is like you go through this effort. And it is effort. Life is busy. Life is busy on a regular day. It's you know, work is busy. Our special needs kids, and we may have other children that don't have special needs, but they have needs. So life is really busy, and so finding the time to do this type of thing is sometimes hard. So I always say, it's not about like doing, you know, what you haven't done or beating yourself up about what you haven't done. It's about getting started. So if this is something that you could start in the next 24 or 48 hours, you don't have to complete it all in one sitting. You don't have to make yourself crazy and do this over a 5-hour period or something like that. You know, spend a little bit of time on it. Maybe you're watching TV, you know, whatever. Maybe you're relaxing. You spend a little time on this and then you come back to it so it's not so overwhelming. And give yourself a timeline of like, look, I'm going to get this completed in the next 90 days, next 60 days, and then you have it, and then it's done, and then it, you know, basically all you have to do going forward is editing this and, you know, kind of making the updates. But one of the things that I think that is also very important on this letter of intent is sharing this with somebody. Okay, so, or at least if you're not ready to share this, at least sharing with your successor guardian where it would be found if something happened to you. If I became incapacitated or if I passed away, this is where you would find this document. And so whether it's on a flash drive, I mean, there's some really, you know, personal information on this. So you might not be you know, having this kind of thing set around in case your house was robbed or something like that. But whether it's on a flash drive or, you know, however you want to do it, or you send it encrypted or that kind of thing. But if you create this and you spend all this time doing this and nobody knows where this is, or it's only saved on your computer and you didn't tell anybody about it, then you know, that's an issue. So some of this too is also helpful in just like creating a brief summary. I know for my daughter, her medical records are ridiculously huge. Like, they're ridiculous. So if we're going to a new physician, granted, all the records get sent over, but sometimes just even walking into a new physician and having a quick summary of this is where we are, this is where we've been, this is where we're going, you know, just a quick, you know, 1 or 2 pager that kind of gives a highlight to the history of your child, even though the history is extensive. Sometimes that's helpful, and sometimes, you know, busy physicians appreciate something like that as well. Okay, so this is just, so we actually at Consolidated Planning Group, we actually have a letter of intent workbook that we've created for our families. So this is a template. It's a form fillable template that you can fill out. So I'm going to actually show you a whole version of that in just a moment. And what we found is, again, is it seems to be a little bit more organized if you have it in a booklet. Again, you can totally do this yourself, okay? And there may be other templates on the internet or things like that you might be able to find. But this kind of just kept it all a little bit more together and made it form fillable, so you didn't have to handwrite it. Some of the things that we've seen before templates that you can find or things that they wanted you to print off the internet and then handwrite it. So I found those to be not helpful. So we put this together and just wanted to share that with you. Um, and so when it comes to, planning for special needs, we talk about a variety of topics, but caregiver concerns are a big thing. And Veronica, you guys may have, had some presentations on this, but basically 53% of caregivers said that their own health had worsened due to caregiving and that their declined health affected their ability to provide care. Okay, so the thing is if we have 32 people on here right now, there are some of you that may have declining health and some of you that may have less than ideal health situations yourself. It's true that sometimes our special needs kids have related conditions because of genetics, right? So but what happens as a parent, and I don't even know if this is necessarily just true for special needs. I think it could be more difficult for special needs, but as parents, we're so busy being parents and making sure everything is great for everybody that oftentimes that we put ourselves on the back burner and really don't take care of the things that we need to take care of for ourselves. And and our kids need us. So it's really important that you find the time to take care of yourself as you're busy taking care of everybody else. And I always I kind of joke and laugh about our 5 full-time jobs of, if you're married, your marriage, if your kids is being, a parent, and then your full-time job, and then managing medical care for a special needs child, that's another full-time job. It's like, we have all of these hats that we're wearing, and there's a lot pulling for our attention. But I just wanted to just say, just keep in mind of taking care of yourself in that regard. And then 55% of caregivers are unaware of how to establish a lifetime financial plan for their special needs dependent. And so that's a lot. That's over half, and it's too much. And this again is, kind of one of the things that I was saying at the beginning, that the information is out there, but it's not together. It is just not together, and it's disjointed. And then you go to some special moms or special parents group and somebody says X, Y, and Z, and then you're like, oh yeah, I need that. And then, but what they told you is wrong. Because there's so much confusion in this topic as it relates to special needs. It's so convoluted, and it's so difficult, and it all goes back to the thing of how do I make sure that I maintain benefits for my child, government benefits, SSI, Medicaid, and sometimes SSDI or RSDI and Medicare. So, and there's a lot of rules behind that, but it's like a lot of the madness of what we do and all of our documents and some of the other things is all going back to that one topic that is just this big ominous topic, and lots of confusion surrounding that. So some of the things that should be on your special needs planning radar, if you've joined us in the past and some of our other presentations, you may have heard us talk about some of these topics. We do have a YouTube channel and recordings of our topics out there, and we will continue to provide topics on these matters going forward in 2021. And some of them, honestly, including myself, some of these speakers that we get that come and talk to us about SSI, SSDI, or waivers, or some of the, honestly, we just can't hear it enough. It's just so confusing and convoluted. And if you have to, listen to the same presentation 10 times, I don't care. If each time you take 1 to 3, I like to call them nuggets away, that you have a better understanding, and now you can help your own situation better, then it's definitely worth, repeat attendance and repeat listening to, or what have you. So things that should be on your radar is how to develop a comprehensive special needs care plan. Future care cost estimates. That's something that is underappreciated in the special needs planning. I think parents think of that, but sometimes we're so busy living in the now. So like most parents, what they do is they fund their child's care while they're alive and working. We just do what we've always done. We just pay for their care out of out of existing assets and working income and that kind of things like that. But what about after we're gone? It's even reasonable to think that even when I retire, I'll continue to pay these things just out of my retirement income. Okay. But what about when we're gone? And getting a future care cost estimate of what it would look like for a child that needs care for the rest of their life when you're gone. These are estimates that we can help you provide and help you come up with. And a lot of it is dependent on your wishes and your desires and the child's level of care, level of need for care. But we can help you put that together. So another thing that should be on your radar and that you can read a little bit more about, the Texas waivers, the interest list out there. Okay, and this is really the waivers and getting on these waivers. So you may have heard people say, "Are you on the interest list?" And you thought, "What are you talking about?" What about the Texas waivers? And they say it plural because there are multiple waivers out there. There is the HCS, there's the Texas Home Living, there's class, and then there's the mental health one. Trying to remember the name of that one, but there is one out there for mental health, which, by the way, that particular waiver, it'll come back to me in a moment. The one for mental health for kids under age 18, there's no waiting list on that. So if you have a child that's suffering from mental illness, if they're runaway, if they're using drugs, if they're in trouble at school or things like that, anyway, that's one that there's no waiting list. So I just wanted to tell you that. So the Texas waivers and the interest list and how you get on them. This is another thing that I kind of laugh and joke and say it's convoluted.
Is it yes waiver?
Yes, that is exactly it. The yes waiver, that's the one. So so the mental health one that I was talking about is the yes waiver, and that is one. It's based off of the child's income, not yours. And so the child has no income. So even if you're, extremely affluent, you make a lot of money, your child could qualify for this. So again, it's the kid that might be ADHD, OCD, ODD, DMDD, like all these initials of, the oppositional defiance, like all of these other initials. Some of them are just, they're just changing, adolescents that are changing, but mental health, they may suffer from depression, anxiety, just to name a few. If any of the suicidal ideation or any type of thing like that, they may qualify for this. And it's a wraparound program, and it's real nice, and a lot of people don't know about it. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of airtime there. But these other waivers, it's with your county, like Fort Bend, for instance, is Texana, and in Houston, it's the Harris Center. That's where you go and you can get put on these waiver lists. It's easy of going to Health and Human Services website and clicking on apply now or something. You would think that it would be that easy, but it's not. So if your child is not on these waiver lists, you want them to be. The waiting list is super, super long, 15, 17 years. There are diversion slots out there. It's possible that in an emergency or critical situation that a person could get a diversion slot. But this is super important. So whether you get with us or you get with Veronica or you get with whoever, if your child is not on the waiver list and you need to get them on and you need help understanding how to get them on the list, then definitely reach out. So another thing that should be on your radar is SSI, SSDI, understanding the differences and knowing when to apply. Okay, so we've got a lot of families that don't qualify for anything. Their child is under age 18. It's based off of the parent's income, not theirs when it comes to SSI, not the child's. And so basically the child's never qualified for anything, and a lot of parents don't know that when the child turns 18, it's the magic button, and it's based off of the child's assets, not the parents, when the child turns 18. So applying for SSI and Medicaid when the child turns 18 is something that you're going to want to do. Again, this is another topic that we spend a lot of time we give a lot of airtime to, and we go deep and wide with SSI and SSDI, but you're going to want to start educating. So this is basically right here what I'm talking about. This particular list should just be on your radar. Okay. So if one of your takeaways today is take a picture of this list, and as you're saying, you know, as I'm getting my special needs plan together, as I'm planning for the future of my child, these are the things that I want to look at, I want to understand, I want to study more, I want to either get or not get or whatever, but these are basically the buzzwords that you're going to hear over and over again. So then we've got ABLE accounts. ABLE accounts is a way that you can have money more over and above the $2,000 that SSI allows a person to have to their name. An ABLE account, you can have up to $100,000 in an ABLE account without disqualifying for SSI. And also the ABLE account allows a contribution of $15,000 a year. So one of the things that you guys might you might know is that an ABLE account is under the 529A tax code, and 529C is for college. So if you have a 529C for your child and you thought they were going to college, but they're not, or maybe they still are going to go to college, you might want to consider converting that to an ABLE account, because an ABLE account you can use for college, but you can use for a whole bunch of other special needs expenditures. So that's something that can happen. Veronica, do we have another question? Okay, I'm going to continue and she can come back in a moment. The beneficiary designations, for those of you that have joined us in the past, the beneficiary designations is a real big thing. And it's something that you're going to want to understand. A lot of people make some really, really big mistakes as far as listing their child, their special needs child, or honestly any minor child, as a beneficiary on their life insurance, disability, long-term care, investment accounts, 401k, 403b, the list goes on and on and on. So there needs to be very, very careful consideration on your beneficiary designations. That's something that we can help you with. But so what I will tell you is forgive yourself, because you're not alone. So if you have named your spouse as beneficiary, and if something happens to me and my spouse is already dead and gone, and then I name my kids, if that's what you've done, you are not alone, and many, 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 many people have made that same mistake, and it's something that you can fix. But it is super, super important not to name your special needs child outright. And it's also super important not to name minor children, because basically when you do that, the money sits in trust until they turn 18, and then they get all of the money at age 18. So it's not a good idea. We can talk more about that another time. Special needs trusts, what about them? How to fund them? There's several types. There's two types: a first-party special needs trust that has a Medicaid payback, and a third-party special needs trust. So we definitely, that needs to be on your radar. A special needs trust and an ABLE account there are two places that you can have money above and beyond the SSI maximum of $2,000 and not be disqualified for SSI. So, and a lot of times people ask us, why do I need a special needs trust and an ABLE account? And it comes down to, the bottom line is that you can pay for some things out of an ABLE account, and you can pay for some things out of a special needs trust. And some things you definitively can't pay out of a special needs trust. So that's why you end up needing both. And then I'll just finish this list and then we'll go to the questions. So guardianship, power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, supported decision-making, that might need to be on your radar. Some people need guardianship. Some people quite honestly don't, and can get by with a power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney. Supported decision-making agreements are another thing that some people like, but it's just something that you want to educate yourself about, those options and what might be best for you, and working with a qualified attorney on this that can help you kind of go down that highway. And then we've got post-education, high school education options. We're so busy just living life that before you know it, your child is 18 or they're 22 and they're leaving the school system. Now what? And some families, the now what is nothing, because they didn't plan it, or the waiting list is long, transition programs. But there's a lot of post-high school education options out there for kids with disabilities. And it might be a transition program. It might be a certificate program. There's all kinds of stuff. So educate yourself now. If your child's 16 or 17 years old right now, start looking at this. I get that they could stay in school till 22, and maybe they should. But start looking at this and get yourself on the waiting list for these types of things, or start educating yourself. And we have some topics on that. And then also the waiting list for community-based care facilities. This is especially important if you're your child's only caregiver, like a successor guardian is not necessarily there, or you have a successor trustee, but you want the trustee to pay for residential services. It could be community-based services, whatever. Some of these waiting lists can be really, really long. So a lot of these facilities require that you tour them first to be able to get on their waiting list. Now, that was pre-COVID, so they may have changed some of their rules since COVID has gone down, because I know that they are trying to keep their residents safe, so they may have changed some of the rules. But doing a tour, whether it's a virtual tour, getting your name on some of these lists, just because your name comes up doesn't mean that you have to take the slot. But some of these waiting lists are 5 years. So it's a bad deal to find out a day late and a dollar short that you are hoping to put your child somewhere, or partial residential care, full residential care, whatever, and you're hoping to do it in the next 60 or 90 days, and they tell you, how about 5 years? So yes, definitely get that on your list. Okay, so Veronica, if you want to go to some of the questions.
Yes, we have a question. It says, so to convert a 529A account to a 529C account, make it an ABLE account, and that can be used in addition to SSI? That's the question in the Q&A.
Yes. Okay. So basically, you can convert a 529C to a 529A. So you can make it for, instead of it being for college, for an ABLE account. And you have to work with a qualified advisor. This is something that you can do. You can't do it on your own, really. But you can get it converted to an ABLE account. But the key thing that you need to know on these conversion is that you can only put $15,000 a year into an ABLE account. So if you have a 529C with $100,000 in it, you can only convert $15,000 a year. So you need to get going on it sooner versus later, because it's only $15,000 a year. So and so the ABLE account can pay for all kinds of expenses for the special needs child, and it does not. Again, the special needs trust and the ABLE account are ways that you can have money above and beyond the $2,000 maximum for SSI. So basically, the SSI rule is you can have $2,000 in assets. If you're single, $2,000 assets to your name. You can have one car, and you can have one house. Okay. If you're married, you can have $3,000 assets to your name. You can have one car and one house, and that's not per spouse. You can still only have one house and one car, and $3,000 assets to your name for SSI. So we all agree that that's not enough money to maintain an individual with special needs, especially all of these kids that have needs that are above and beyond what insurance pays and things like that. So the ABLE account and the special needs trust is where you can have those funds. So again, the ABLE account is up to $100,000. You can have in the ABLE account without disqualifying the individual for SSI, and then there's really no limit on the special needs trust. So $15,000 a year into the ABLE account, no limit on how much money you can put into a special needs trust.
I think you already answered it, but it says for the special needs trust, there is no limit to the monetary contribution per year?
Correct. I mean, there are literally people that have millions and millions of dollars in their special needs trust, especially for a kid that they know, for a family that they have it, okay, number one, and for a kid that they know is going to need care for 30 or 40 years. And some of the care facilities, I don't want to scare you because not all of them are this expensive, but some people and their kids and their care facilities are over $100,000 a year right now. Okay. So, I mean, there is definitely facilities that are much cheaper than that, but so it just depends. And then, you know, we often talk about funding the special needs trust. How do you do that? I've heard people tell me, I don't need a special needs trust. I don't have any money. You know, I've heard people say that before. And the thing is it's true. You can be affluent and you can have a lot of money. You can have a lot of investments and things like that that fund your special needs trust. But many people fund their special needs trust with life insurance. So basically, we pay for our child's care while we're alive, like I said that we do. And then upon our death, that our child's that the life insurance proceeds will be paid to the special needs trust. So that's one way. Okay, what else do we got, Veronica?
Chat box, let me go and see.
I think I see some questions in the Q&A and then some in the chat box, so if you'll check both.
Yes, in the Q&A, we already answered those.
Okay.
In the chat, where can we find a copy of the booklet for the letter of intent? The one
Yes, so
did you already show it? I don't know.
yeah, I'm actually going to pull it up before we end this presentation, and then you can reach out to our office. We will go through this document with our clients and help them have this in their portfolio as it relates to their overall comprehensive special needs care plan. So, but I will show you the complete document so you guys can get an understanding of that for sure.
And then someone else asked about a copy of these slides. I already told them in the chat that we are going to be sending an email with the presentation of today. But it says we didn't include the lecture as well as the slide presentation. We will not include the lecture, but we are recording this presentation. So probably in the following week, you can find this presentation in our Facebook page. And Allison, I don't know where they can find this lecture in your YouTube channel.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel with our past recordings and stuff like that. So once this recording is ready, probably later this afternoon or tomorrow, then we can get that posted out to our YouTube channel as well. So, and again, you guys can reach out to our office, you know, as well, and we can send it to you. Here's my contact information, how to reach us if you want to, you know, schedule an individualized consultation. Everybody's situation is unique, so we definitely do recommend that. And really, when it comes to special needs planning, there's a lot of different directions that you can go. There's a lot of confusion on, do I need a special needs planner? Do I need a special needs planning attorney? And the answer is both, right? The answer is both. And we share this a lot too. The special needs planning attorney, which I didn't say this, I try to say this every single time. It is really important that you don't do this stuff yourself, okay? Downloading these documents from the internet is a recipe for disaster, and I'm not being rude, it's just a recipe for disaster. You have special nuances that you have to deal with. Your situation is not run-of-the-mill. And so when it comes to special needs planning, we definitely suggest working with a special needs planning attorney that knows what they're doing. We're happy to make recommendations. We have relationships with firms all over the state, and we're happy to make recommendations. But this is not your average mom and pop attorney. So an attorney might be good at doing wills and things like that, but they might not be good at knowing when it comes to special needs. And in fact, there's a UT special needs planning conference that a lot of the attorneys that we work with, basically only the attorneys that we will refer to, attend this UT special needs planning conference. And it's imperative that these attorneys are there because the rules change, the laws change, the rules change, and people that are not eating and sleeping and breathing special needs, they can make one little tiny mistake in your documents that could make them kind of worthless. So anyway, we can make a recommendation. And why do you need a special needs planner? Because a special needs planner is familiar with the nuances and how to make you not lose your benefits or your qualification for benefits for your child. And so when it comes to a special needs planning attorney, they're the paper, they're the legal documents, we're the money. Okay, where is the money coming from? How am I going to be retired for 30, 25 to 35 years and still pay for 25 to 35 years for special care for my child? How much money do I need for future residential care? So where the money, they're the legal documents. So if that makes sense. And I'm going to stop my share for a second, and I'm going to bring up the, while you come to the other questions, Veronica, I'm going to bring up our letter of intent.
All right. You tell me when
I'm ready. You can go ahead and go with the questions. Sure.
Okay. If we shouldn't design our, oh, I went away my questions. Okay. If we shouldn't designate our kids with a special as beneficiary to receive funds, how do you found an SMT with proceeds of the life insurance policy upon a parent's death? Sounds confusing. It says like that.
I think I'm going to read that.
You can read that. Can you read that one?
Yeah, I better read that.
Designate our kids.
So basically, the special needs trust either needs to be established or under the terms of your will. There is a thing called a testamentary special needs trust, which basically the special needs trust is created upon your death, right? So then once you have one or the other of that in place, then basically what happens is the beneficiary is named as the, trustee for the special needs trust for little Johnny, or the, sometimes it'll say the supplemental needs trust. The beneficiary name is actually the supplemental needs trust for Johnny. Instead of Johnny's first name and last name, it's the supplemental needs trust for Johnny. It's the third party special needs trust for Johnny. It's the testamentary special needs trust for Johnny. That's the way that you go about doing it. But those documents and those conversations have to really happen with an attorney, so that way you can get those in place. And then the other thing, I try to mention this on every single one of my presentations, and I'm sorry for those of you that have joined us and you join us all the time. You could probably say what I'm going to say, but be careful it's not just you on your beneficiaries. I know mom and dad like to name their kids, okay? But it's grandma and grandpa. Grandma and grandpa love leaving money to their special needs grandchildren, okay? Or their grandkids. And sometimes grandma and grandpa, your parents, are pretty private about this kind of thing. So it is imperative for you to make sure that you have these conversations with your parents or grandparents or whoever, that if there is a possibility that someone might be leaving money to your child, is establishing that special needs trust, so that way it can be left to the special needs trust for said child, not to the child individually. And some might say, you might even hear me say, like, what do I need this? What do I need Medicaid for? What do I need this $7.94 a month SSI? Are you kidding me? It's groceries, right? Like, it's not on the scale and the cost of the care of our kids. It's a drop in the bucket. It's not that much. It's nothing. And if you already have health insurance through your employer, you might say, well, I have great health insurance. I don't care about Medicaid. But you don't ever know. You don't ever know. And for those that don't have any insurance at all, Medicaid is fabulous. Okay. It is really covering for a lot of things. And then in the future, as your child gets older, the law is right now that you can keep your child on your health insurance, your group health insurance, through your work until they're 26 years old. Okay. Well, something that's out there that you guys should know, and this isn't one of those things, write this down. You might want to check with your HR department at your employer. So if you have group health insurance through your employer, this is not something that they advertise, and it may not even be in the booklet that you get at open enrollment every year. But a lot of employers have moved to the point of, if you have a special needs child, that's disability started prior to 18 or prior to 22 or whatever the age number is that they do, that they will allow you to keep your special needs child on the group health plan indefinitely. There's a form that you have to fill out, and you have to prove that the child's disabled. And a lot of people do not know this. And for our kids that have critical care needs or like serious issues, Like for me, it's imperative for me to keep my daughter on my group plan. It's imperative. And yes, she gets Medicaid and she gets Medicare. I mean, she's like, she has all of this coverage. But what I have found, I mentioned earlier, we always see the specialist, right? We see the specialist, we see the chief. We go where we have to go. And if it's not here in Houston, if it's across the country or wherever we go where we go. And so it's really been important for us to have that insurance because a lot of the doctors that we need to see are not, we're not eligible to see those doctors, with the other programs. So I think, that's just another consideration. Okay, so any other questions, Veronica, before I just kind of run through this, this document?
Yeah, the last question is we are going to do this presentation, or we do this presentation in Spanish?
So, one of the things, Veronica, that maybe we can talk about this offline. I don't speak Spanish. Everybody always asks me, they think I speak Spanish, and I do not, and I wish I did. But for future reference, we have had some of these presentations with other organizations that actually had a Spanish channel on the Zoom. So for people,
you froze. Allison, can you repeat? You froze a little bit.
I said that we've had a Spanish channel before. So there have been other organizations that we've partnered with that had a translator and a Spanish channel for the Zoom. So that may be something that you guys want to check on. I'm sorry that, yeah.
Right now, no, but we can plan on it, right?
Yes, for sure. We can do that next time for sure. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So can you see my screen okay? Okay, so this is the special needs planning letter of intent workbook. This is the template that I was talking about. Again, you can do this yourself. This is just our template, but it kind of just, it's 15 pages, as you guys can see. So it's not, this isn't something, like I said before, that this is something that you can take some time doing. Okay, so 15 pages is not nothing. It's a lot of information. This is, getting addresses and phone numbers and social security numbers and all kinds of details and stuff like that. And we've just kind of made this as comprehensive as possible. So I'm just kind of just running through this as just to kind of give you an example. The medical care and history, one thing that we're going to be adding to our form is many more pages for medical care and history because, like I said, I know some of you, it's easy. It's autism spectrum disorder, and there's not a lot of other diagnoses. And then others, just it is rapid fire, one diagnosis after another of things and complex care and the people that have trachs and ventilators and all of these other kind of machines and things like that. So I'm just kind of just running through this. So we talk about the government benefits and kind of other programs that you might be getting, living arrangements. A lot of the stuff you're going to know right off the top of your head, and other things you may have to look up and things like that. But just, I'm just kind of getting through this here. So I know it's kind of boring, but anyway, the bottom line is we do have a template, and that we can go through with our clients and provide, get this together. I mean, for you. And so, again, you can do it with your Word document. You can do it however you want to, to get started with it. But as I said earlier, what my recommendation is really when it comes to special needs planning, we had the list of the other things that should be on your radar. Just, put this on your list, prioritize your list, and just get started. I mean, the fact that you attended today, that you're here, you're learning a little bit more each time you hear another presentation and things like that. I think that it's good. It is good, and it is hard. It's not easy, and I just want you guys to keep the path forward. But reach out for help with your questions. There's so many organizations out there that are really advocating and and trying to kind of put these things together for you and help you understand, you know, what steps you should take and when. But I think that this is a really, really good start. And your family members, your future guardian, your successor guardian is going to thank you for this. And just, you know what, sometimes it's even the spouse, right? Because sometimes mom or dad just does all of these things, right? So sometimes it's not even the future guardian, it's just even you know, someone living in your household, because maybe they're the breadwinner and maybe they're out working, or maybe they travel for work or things like that. So some of the daily routine and some of the things that you do might just, just might be overlooked, or you just do it. So it's just sharing this with a spouse that maybe doesn't do these, you know, these typical things. Maybe the spouse never takes the child to doctor's appointments or things like that. So, so anyway, I think that's it. And Veronica, if we have one last question.
They're just saying that they love the workbook. So.
Oh, I'm so glad.
This is great information. Love this workbook.
So glad, so glad. Well, I would just like to thank you again, Veronica, for having us here today. And as always, you know, we're here to help any way that we can. And, you know, thanks for taking your time to join us today. If we can be of assistance to you guys going forward, feel free to reach out. And we do plan to get this presentation with the slides and the recording out just as soon as possible when it's ready. I think it'll probably be ready in a couple hours or by tomorrow anyway. And so then we'll get that out just as soon as possible.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are going to send you this information as soon as we have it. And thank you all for being here. And next month, we are going to have again Allison. Oh, I think they're going to be talking about guardianship again. I don't remember. Sorry, guys. But I will send you an email with the information about it. But it's in next month. So thank you so much, Allison, for everything that you do for us. And see you in the next one.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.